The Drum Candy podcast is brought to you by Drum Factory Direct.
What is up, everyone? Welcome into episode 4 of season 3 of the Drum Candy podcast. This is your host, Mike Dawson, coming to you from Drum Factory Direct in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. First off, I want to thank you all for being patient. We had to skip last week. I was just way deep in some data work for the new website, and I just had to get that finished, so I didn't have time to put the episode together. But we are back. This is the 4th episode of season 3. And if you recall, this season, I am breaking out the format that we were doing in season 2, where we would have a little bit of technique, a little bit of an interview, a little bit of gear talk, all crammed into one. We're blowing that out, so each episode is going to be focusing on one of those topics. This week, it is all about drumming and technique. So the first episode of the season was when I got Thomas Wendt and David Throckmorton, and Paul Wells was our guest in the studio. We talked about Steve Gadd, so we've got another one coming up with Paul. I think that'll be next week. That was our 10 Reasons to Love Steve Gadd. And then episode 2 was all about gear talk. I brought in Carter McLean, and we did some blindfold tests with a bunch of different maple drums that had different types of shells. Some with plywood with re-rings, some plywood without re-rings. One had a solid shell, one had wood hoops, and we were just seeing which we preferred without knowing what it was. That was super fun. And then last week, Throck came in and interviewed Kush. That was a really fun interview. So this week, it's all about technique. So I'm kind of testing this concept, so it's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. But before we get into that, let's thank our intro beat. So that intro beat was called Bottom Shelf Blues, and it was submitted by Nick Diedrichsen. And here's what Nick has to say about that. It says, "Hey, Mike, I love the podcast. Lots of cool topics to keep me alert on my commutes. I recorded this song on my front porch a while ago for my YouTube channel. I was inspired by David Garibaldi's Future Sounds book. The kit is a Yamaha Recording Custom 22-inch bass drum and a Yamaha Sensitive Series 5.5 by 14 snare. The hi-hat are 14-inch Silgenco ropes. The keyboard is a Fender Rhodes that I recovered in tweed and played through my neighbor's twin reverb amp. I used an AKG C214 on the snare and hats, an EV RE320 for the kick, and a Sennheiser E906 for the Rhodes. I ran it all through a 2-channel PreSonus interface into my aging MacBook." Thanks, Nick. That was super cool of you. I bet your neighbors appreciated hearing you serenade them from your front porch. If any of you want to get your beats on the show, I think I have a couple in the can that are still going to be used, but I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you're doing, hear the type of creations you can come up with. So send your intro beats over to drumcandypodcast@gmail.com. Include a little bit of a write-up about what gear you're using, kind of the concept behind the beat, and we will feature you in a future episode. Again, that is drumcandypodcast@gmail.com. Okay, before we get super nerdy on the lesson portion of the episode, just a bit of news, some updates. We have a bunch of new DFD restocks, so if you've been waiting for any product, hopefully you're getting your email notification that it's back in stock. We also have a bunch of new products that we're racing to get up onto the site. That's part of what I'm working on, is writing new descriptions and organizing photography and all that stuff for the new products. So if you're looking for something, now would be the time to head over to Drum Factory Direct to make sure you grab whatever you need before it runs out of stock again. Secondly, I've mentioned this in a couple episodes already, but we have this Mark Giuliano Masterclass coming up on April 29th. That's over at Hawthorne Drum Shop. The tickets are $99 a piece. They are going pretty quickly. There's still a handful left. So if you want to get over here to Pittsburgh, or if you're in Pittsburgh or somewhere nearby, whether it's Cleveland or Columbus or DC or Morgantown or whatever, you might want to get your tickets soon. I don't think they're going to be, I think it's going to sell out probably here in the next week or so. So go over to, it'll be linked in the description from the episode, but it's also on Eventbrite. You can search for Mark Giuliano Masterclass and Hawthorne Drum Shop. We've got some giveaways to announce with that. So for the price of admission, you're going to be entered in to win an Istanbul EGOP cymbal. And again, we're limiting this to 30 possible tickets. So you have a 1 in 30 chance of leaving there with, well over triple the value of your ticket price. We also have Vic Firth is sending some swag, and DFD is going to be throwing in some stuff. So you'll probably walk away with darn near enough to cover your ticket price. So anyway, that's the Mark Giuliano Masterclass on April 29th 4 to 6 roughly. We're going to be hanging out all day and probably staying a little bit late as well, but that's going to be the meat of the masterclass. So go check it out on Eventbrite. Also, we still have a bunch, you can't see it, but I'm wearing this. This is the Drum Candy t-shirt here. It's got the heathered maroon fabric. I would pull my shirt apart here, but my microphone is attached. But it's got the full color logo. I'm not a very good salesman because it's covered up, but it's a super cool shirt, super comfortable. I wear it all the time, not just to promote the show, but I just dig it. So we have a bunch of them. I think we still have small, medium, large, and extra large. They're over on Drum Factory Direct, so get yourself a shirt and join the party. All right, let's dig into our main topic. This is a lesson that I wrote originally for the December issue of Percussive Notes. Percussive Notes is the magazine, I believe it's bi-monthly magazine for the Percussive Art Society. If you're a member of PAS, you get this magazine for free. You can get it digitally or a print version. So anyone listening who's not a member of Percussive Art Society, you certainly should go join up. I think it's $100 or something to join. You have access to everything on the website. It gets you discounted rates to PASIC. And it's just a cool resource. It's our one society for drummers and percussionists around the world. And there's a lot of stuff you might be missing out. So, and also events and things, and there's, bulletins for job openings, all that kind of stuff is all kind of wrapped into the Percussive Art Society. So go to pas.org, get yourself a membership, and join that community. So this was something I wrote for Percussive Notes. And it's based on some of the things I've been teaching, working with students, and I've used in my clinics for several years on how to be creative when you're practicing basic independence. So the article is titled Creative Practice, How to Build Vocabulary with Basic Independence. So in this video, this video was recorded for that article. So it's a bit of a truncated version of the presentation. In clinic form, this would be blown out for like an hour, but it's like 11 or 12 minutes. So I tried to get as much information as I possibly could into one. I believe I'm looking at it now. It's a 2.5 page article. This stuff I've been working on so much, it could fill up half a book, and that was originally the intention. But this is just the primer. So the premise is just to get creative freedom with simple rhythms over simple ostinatos. So this article focuses on just a quarter note with the right hand, in fact, and then working on all the possible single and double note subdivisions with 16th notes with the left hand, with the right foot, with the left foot, and then improvising with that very basic material and just seeing how far you can explore, how far you can take it with, orchestration, with dynamics, with ornaments like buzzes and rim shots and dead strokes and all that kind of stuff. So the whole point is take a tiny little bit of information and see how much you can get out of it, how far you can push it, and then can you keep pushing it? Can you keep reaching for new things? I tell a lot of my students, you gotta practice through the boredom. So once you kind of hit a wall, there's no possible way you're ever going to exhaust these topics. Stuff like once you hit a wall and you think like, man, I really can't do anything else. It's usually just a matter of, just change one thing, move the right hand, or experiment with brushes or mallets. Just change something, and you're gonna open up a whole new world. So anyway, I don't want to repeat too much of what this is about. So here's the lesson: creative practice. What's up, everyone? It's Mike Dawson here from Drum Factory Direct and the Drum Candy Podcast. And in this video, I want to take you through my article that I wrote for Percussive Notes entitled Creative Practice, How to Build Vocabulary with Basic Independence. I think when most of us think of independence practice, we think of complicated four-limb ostinatos and polyrhythms, but really it doesn't need to be that complicated. If you can play a steady quarter note with one limb, there's a lot you could do creatively and musically with that. So for instance, we're going to just pick a sound source and play quarter notes. In this case, I'm going to go bell the ride cymbal. We'll go a slow tempo like 80 BPM. Just play quarter notes at 80 BPM. Let's start there. And that's pretty easy, right? Just steady quarter notes with one hand. Now you're going to play all the possible variations of a single 16th note with the left hand on the snare drum. So that'll be on the downbeat, on the E, on the and on the And we're going to play each one 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that should be pretty easy for most of us. Rather than add anything more complicated, what we're going to do is we're going to now improvise with just those 4 rhythmic ideas with the left hand on the snare drum. We're going to try to create interesting 4-bar phrases. I'm going to put the bass drum on beat 1 of the 4-bar phrase just to remind ourselves where it starts over. All right, here we go. Now that might not be the most interesting thing at the moment, but what I'm doing is I'm testing my fluency. Can I play each of those 4 rhythms at will wherever I hear them and wherever I want them and not lose track of the quarter note steadiness or the 4-bar phrase? Now, let's give ourselves some more, a wider palette. Let's add some nuance to the snare drum. So instead of just hitting dead center, you can hit rim shots, you can hit off center, you can hit buzzes, rim clicks. Let's just try that. So same idea, steady quarter note with the right hand on the ride cymbal with all the different nuances. We also have all the dynamics from super quiet to super loud. Here we go. So now our ideas have just expanded infinitely. We can improvise in that world as long as you want. And trust me, there's always more to explore. So let's say the next step, you can go any number of directions, but the next thing I would do, let's try orchestrating that left hand around the tom, snare, and cymbal sounds. See what we got now. Again, 4-bar phrase. I'm delineating the 4-bar phrase with the bass drum on beat 1. It should be starting to sound like music now. I'm actually playing melodic phrases, I'm repeating ideas, I'm finding little themes and variations all over the steady quarter note. Where do we go from here? Let's just try, instead of just playing steady quarter notes on the ride cymbal, let's move that between 2 sources, and then we've got all the, so now we're going to have a moving ostinato, but still just quarter notes, and the left hand is going to be improvising around the drums. Try that. The next thing that I would suggest is do this whole process with the bass drum. So go back to just playing those 4 basic rhythms, get them nice and solid. Now improvise the 4-bar phrase with just the bass drum over that quarter note. 3, 4. Now let's try having a conversation between the bass drum and snare drum. We're only using those 4 single note patterns. 3, 4. Now let's move the left hand around. 3, 4. Let's try moving the right hand between 2 sources while improvising with the bass drum and snare drum. All right, we can't leave out the left foot, so let's just work on the 4 basic rhythms again. Now let's improvise, and I'm also going to add in some splashes and some whatever other extra sounds I can get from the left foot. All right, we're going to put all that together. So the bass drum, left hand, left foot are all going to be improvising. Left hand can move around. It can play different articulations. Left foot can splash or hit chomps. Right hand is going to play, let's just add them all together. So we're going to do between 2 sources. The right hand is going to be moving. The other 3 limbs are improvising. Hopefully you can see that the possibilities are really endless. It gets you thinking melodically, musically, adhering to a 4-bar phrase. It's working on your time. It's working on your independence. There's always more that you can explore with this. I say practice through the boredom. Once you think you've maxed it out, try something different. There's always some new combinations kind of lurking behind the next door. And then if you really think you've got complete fluency with those single 16th notes, explore 2 16th notes per quarter note, or 3 or 4, until eventually you're just improvising freely in a 16th note world over top of a quarter note. And then you can say, well, why don't I do the quarter note on the offbeat, or maybe 8th notes or 16th notes, and it just compounds and just keeps multiplying, and you're always thinking musically, you're always thinking with shape and contour and deliberate. You're not just playing licks and patterns. So hope you got something out of this, and I'm just going to improvise freely, slightly faster tempo, using all these concepts together. All right, so again, that's like a crash course on this stuff. Each one of these little bits, if I'm working with a student one-on-one, we would take each one of those bits and spend a lesson just on single notes and single notes on the snare drum, or double notes on just one surface, or single notes on different surfaces. Like it would be way blown out. I wouldn't go straight into like moving the right hand. There's so many ways. This is like a choose your own adventure once you start coming up with variations. And that's all just over a quarter note. And you could do the same thing if you just put that quarter note, instead of on the right hand, put it on the bass drum and do 3-limb basic improvisations with the right hand, left hand, and left foot. Or put the quarter note on the left foot, or put the quarter note on the left hand. You can see how this can go on and on and on. So you're not only developing independence, but you're also developing phrasing, because you're always thinking in like 4-bar phrases, and and you're working on your timing, because these are very simple rhythms that you can't fake. You can't fake the E's and the U's. They got to be accurate, or it's just going to sound sloppy and incorrect. So that's just with a quarter note. And then you can do eighth notes. And so I'll probably revisit this and do like a fresh version, maybe a series of these that kind of breaks it down a little bit more concisely. But I just wanted to share this lesson because I filmed it specifically for PAS, and I didn't want to kind of like just disappear into the ether once that magazine went off the shelves. So anyway, let me know what you think of this stuff. If this lesson concept is cool for you, you can always reach out to me. I do have a Patreon page where some of this stuff is explained a little bit more. I'm going to be digging back into that page here shortly and really kind of workshopping some of this stuff that I want to turn into book form. So, hit me up with a DM on Instagram, or you can email drumcandypodcast@gmail.com with any feedback, any questions. If you want to work with me directly on a one-on-one basis, all that stuff. So connect with me there. Thanks for checking it out. Let's move on to Shop Talk. All right, let's head over to Hawthorne Drum Shop. This is actually the last of a batch of little mini Shop Talk episodes I filmed when I visited over there a month or so ago. And this time we're checking out a really cool antique Ludwig kit. What are we looking at here? This is spectacular. I see it's a Ludwig. I don't know anything more about it. So what do we got?
So this is a marble pearl outfit.
Amazing.
Made by Ludwig and Ludwig. I think this first showed up in the catalog in 1928.
Okay.
Made for a couple of years. Definitely one of like a more rare finish. Did a lot of really cool, rare, hard to find stuff in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them had bigger 28-inch bass drums. Most of them are solid shell. Try saying that like 10 times. Solid shell snares. Yeah, pretty cool.
What's it made out of?
Maple.
These are all maple?
I think it's maple. I don't remember what the bass drum is.
Is this how many lugs are on this sucker?
10.
Oh, it looks like there's
So it's
more.
this is a professional snare. Kind of seeing there, it's maple. 10 lugs, all nickel hardware. This was in pretty rough shape, like the set was when we got it. This is actually a wrap too.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
So was this just sitting in like a ballroom or something?
So I got this from a friend in California who got it from a friend who got it at an estate sale.
Okay.
So, getting this thing shipped in was like nervous the whole time.
Yeah, no doubt. Is this a solid bass drum?
No, it's a 3-ply, yeah. They did make, Stone made a solid bass drum. There weren't a lot. I've had like a couple marchers that were solid, that were Slingerland, but the bass drums are usually a ply drum.
Oh, okay.
Both hoops were broken at the scarf joint. I did my best to glue them, but I'm not a woodworker. But
single tension.
Your favorite. I hate single tension drums.
Bass drums, I don't think it bothers me. Snare drums, it's like the worst thing ever.
Yeah. That's the way they did it back then. Everything was pretty rusty, so we had to kind of get rid of the rust. And I'm sure it'll come back because anytime like there's corrosion, you can make it look good for a period of time. It comes back. Some of the accessories were included. Some of them were missing. The ones that were completely included. This is the cymbal.
Gooseneck, I guess,
Yeah.
sort of.
Hang off there.
That would have been one of
We didn't have
those
the other piece.
China things,
Yeah.
probably.
We didn't have the piece that goes with that. It's got a dual temple block. No, I can't remember what they would call that.
I mean, I guess it's a temple block
Yeah.
of some sort. Wood
But-
block. Very cool. So have you seen this wrap on any other drums?
Yeah, there was Nelson had a snare drum that they just sold that was that. And I think that I saw another outfit that was a little bit nicer than this that another shop had that sold. Pretty cool. This is not the original painted bass drum head. It's funny, I put this on my Instagram story, like my personal one, and my wife said, "What is that?" I said, it's an elk. And she didn't answer. And they said, "What was that on your bass drum, your story when you get home?" I said, "Oh, it was a bass drum." She goes, "Did you paint that?" I said, "No." She goes, "Oh, good, because it's terrible."
Oh, she must be an artist.
She is, yeah. Like, I thought it's nice.
I think it looks okay.
Wait till you see some of the other ones that they made, like the leady ones. Oh, lordy.
I think the more kind of weird they are, the better, really.
Yeah. They had a pirate ship one, Leedy did. Like maybe not a pirate ship, but it was a ship. I'll have to tell you a story offline about freaking idiot. But
would this have come with like Chinese tack toms or something?
Yeah, it would have had. I think that you could like kind of pick and choose like a la carte what you wanted, if I had to guess. But sometimes you get them with a trap table.
Oh, right.
You know, various temple blocks and splash mounts, and a lot of times there would have been a mount on the back. There's like a little. It kind of looks like a tooth, and it's a cymbal holder that will attach to the hoop. So every time you hit it, it makes a sound.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
What would this eye hook been for?
Which one?
There's like an eye hook here.
You know what? I don't know.
It wasn't a marching drum, right?
No. You probably can't see. There's two holes right here, or two screws. And on the inside, it had the two original lights.
Oh, right.
So they would put lights in drums from this period because of the calf to kind of control, the tension and, the weather, I guess.
And it probably looked cool, too.
Let me get the pedal that came with this. I don't know. So this is the original pedal. You can see some things are just the same, for the last 100 years. Once you make it right.
It's in perfect condition.
Yeah, it's still got the plastic on it. So I'm really not very funny. This is the original pedal. Pretty good shape. Everything works.
That's not bad, given the time period.
I think even the spring's original. But I think that this is. I don't get enough of like the 20 stuff in.
Oh, that'd been the beater for the mounted cymbal?
Yeah, I think so. But this is in really nice shape. I have one of these personally. But like, could you imagine like playing that?
I mean, I guess you had to, right? It's not bad. I mean, what were you doing back in the 20s?
Yeah, I mean, you're like a lot of feathering in the bass drum.
Yeah, 4 on the floor, not much.
And you're like in there like in dress shoes and all that stuff, you know what I mean? But like that's like before they made straps and chains, like it's literally just a piece of metal. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, you could just fabricate your replacements out of a coat hanger. But it's surprisingly smooth. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what Ludwig was founded on.
It's also kind of neat too that this can kind of pivot a little bit here, back and forth.
Yeah.
So I think like the early engineering and stuff is really interesting to kind of see how it progressed. I'm not like a historian by any means, but just kind of looking at how things have stayed the same and changed over the years. Like this footboard reminds me a lot of the Speedmaster pedal that Ludwig did in the 60s. It's got a little thin board.
It's almost like half the pedal. It's just missing the other bracket.
Yeah.
And then we're there.
It's got the patent number on it too. 5, I don't know what that is. There's a 71524 on here. I wonder what that is. But these beaters are like popular now too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a really cool piece. It's one of the few. I don't get a lot of 20 stuff in. I just don't think I live in like the area where you'd find a lot. It's a lot of the New England area. But really cool. This piece is for sale. So we'll ship it to you if you want. It's got the original snare stand too. Can you imagine playing this though, Mike?
I mean, again, if you're only playing super light, I guess it looks like I don't know what that looks like to me.
Still kicking after almost 100 years,
I mean, it's well designed. They just weren't thinking durability. This was definitely pre-rock and roll.
Pre-DW 9000, right? There's no hydraulic lift on this sucker.
Has this wrap ever been reissued?
No, but it's funny, like we did the segment on Mod Orange, and like this almost looks like it's printed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have a lot of depth.
Yeah, you're right. I guess 'cause it's just two-toned. But it's like You can see some stuff. What's that ink blot? The it's like an ink blot.
Oh, yeah. What do they call that? Not the Rorschach test.
Yeah,
Is that it?
Yeah.
Wow, I remembered
like
something.
Skeletons and
Yeah.
whatever you want to see, you can find in there.
Leedy did a jade green, which is a lot darker of a green color. And it kind of reminds me of that a little bit in the fact that it doesn't have a whole lot of depth. But
Would this have been like bone white, or you think it was like a marble?
I think it wasn't. I think everyone I've seen has been more. It might have been. And when we took the hardware off to clean it, sometimes we'll take hardware off a kit, and you'll see the original color behind the lug. Mm-hmm. Didn't really have any of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fascinating. What are we calling this sucker?
Marble Pearl drum set.
There we go. Ludwig. Just Ludwig, not Ludwig and Ludwig. No, just the Ludwig.
No, that's Ludwig and Ludwig.
Oh, it is?
See, they put their name on there 3 times.
Oh,
Ludwig,
yeah. And then on the bottom.
Ludwig, and Ludwig.
So there's 3 Ludwigs.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about, I guess that's more of a conversation for Bart. Like Ludwig and Ludwig versus Ludwig and Leedy and Kahn and all that stuff.
And then WFL comes back into the picture.
And then Roland.
All right. Okay, I do have one listener question that I want to get to. If you have any questions you'd like me to answer in the show in a future episode, shoot them over to drumcandypodcast@gmail.com. I love to hear from you. And if it's a question that I can't answer, I will send it out to someone that I think can give you an adequate answer. So this week, this comes from Jason Farlow. Jason says, I have a 90s black relight, and I'm trying to recreate that Clyde Stubblefield funky drummer Winston's Amen Break snare sound. I have a Remo Fiberskin 3 batterhead and an Evans 300 Hazy Resonant on the drum. It has 2.3 triple flange hoops. I just ordered a 12-strand snare wire. Any ideas on tuning or what I should do to get it there? I'm just putting it together, and any help would be appreciated. Okay, great question and a great quest. It's a perfect drum for that. The black relight, if no one knows, it's a Ludwig acrylite that came out in the 90s where they put like a black speckled paint on it. Kind of looks almost like a Black Beauty, but it's a aluminum shell. I have that, and I have all the different versions of acrylites. They all sound slightly different, but they all kind of do the same thing, which is exactly the sound that I think you're looking for. Dry, kind of snappy, quick, James Brown, funky drummer kind of sound. So, a couple suggestions. You say you have a Remo Fiberskin 3 batterhead on it. That might be a little bit too old school sounding, a little bit too muted. I would just go with a single ply coated Ambassador if you're a Remo player, a single ply G1 if you're Evans, or an Aquarian texture coated. You could probably go even thinner coated Diplomat if you really want that kind of bright sound. That depends on how hard you hit. If you're a hard hitter, the Diplomat's not going to last very long. I think you can get away with a coated Ambassador or any kind of single ply. DFD has single ply 10 mil heads that are actually really nice. I just beta tested a whole bunch of them, and they hold up really nice, and they do really get that old school kind of sound. So any manufacturer, DFD, Evans, Remo, Aquarian, Attack, whatever you use, just get a single ply, like a 10 mil single ply coated head. That's going to be the best choice, in my opinion. The bottom head, I think, is fine. That's the medium weight resonant head. This might be the trick here. You have 2.3 triple flange. Those old drums came with 1.6. So you might want to get some thinner 1.6 hoops and throw that on there. And maybe even possibly, if you're really looking to take this thing to the next level, get some of the chrome over brass 1.6. But just regular 1.6 triple flange steel. It's going to be a more open sound. It's going to have a softer kind of rim shot feel. That was what they used back in the day. So that's going to be a little bit closer to the original kind of vibe. The 2.3 might just be a little bit more aggressive and chunkier sounding than the funky drummer sound. I think of it being pretty thin and pretty bright. So try the lighter hoops. I think the snare wires you got are perfect, 12 strands. Tuning wise, crank it. Crank the top, crank the bottom. I would crank the bottom pretty much to the highest note it possibly can, and then maybe back it off just a little bit so it's not choking out. And then with the batterhead, same thing. I would take it up basically to where the head is not getting any higher, it's just getting more choked. Like find the spot right when the shell starts to contribute to the sound. So you go really high, you hear nothing but drum head. And then just back it down eighth a turn and play it until finally you hear the shell kind of resonate a little bit more with the batter head. That's going to be like the upper tuning that drum will ever do. And that might be the spot. So then once you establish that ceiling, like that's as high as this drum can go, then turn on the original, turn on Funky Drummer, play along to it, and just try to match. Like, is my drum sounding higher note or a lower note than James Brown track? And then just tune it until you get the pitch the same. The bottom head, tight, doesn't really matter. Snares, pretty tight, not super tight, but pretty tight to where they're not rattling. And that's going to be the trick. From there, you just got to practice that groove. Anyway, so I hope that helps. So again, anyone has any questions, shoot them over to drumcandypodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, Jason. And let's see, I was going to wrap it up here with our warehouse pick of the week. This is probably a repeat, but these DFD practice pads that we have, man, if you don't have one, you got to check them out. One side is a black, like medium hard rubber, and the other side is a maroon soft kind of neoprene surface. So you can get like more of a quieter and a more intense workout on the neoprene side. Flip it over, you get more kind of a realistic drum rebound. And it's compact. It's an 8-inch pad, so it easily fits into a book bag or a laptop bag if you're on the road. In fact, Giuseppe is out with Devil Wears Prada right now, and he's using that for his daily warm-up. So it's a cool pad. We're really proud to have put these together, and I don't think they're quite getting the attention they deserve. So go check out the DFD practice pad. I believe we're still also including a free pair of 5B hickory wood tip sticks if you buy the pad. So that's it. And that's it for this week's episode. Again, thank you all for being patient as we get this new season rolling. I really do want to hear from you about, do you like these lesson ideas? Is it just too much? I want to know, because we're tweaking as we go. This show is going to be in a constant state of flux. So the more input you can give me, the better. Just shoot me a DM on Instagram or the Drum Factory Direct page. Email drumcandypodcast@gmail.com. I want to hear from you. And also, give us a review and a 5-star rating. That would be much appreciated. All right, see you next time.